let's go ahead with the next bone, which is in fact the coming off this. It looks a little bit weird, but our next bone is going to be this thing here. So that needs to be able to turn up 90 degrees. So let's make that happen. Let's put that in place. So this is also a child bone of the root bone. I wouldn't expect this to come off the side. Let's go back into our joint editor tool, create ourselves another child bone from here. And this one is going to also be, it's also going to start with Z. So ZXY I'm going to use. And this one is going to be, maybe I'll call this the back bit, because I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to alien technology, I'm afraid. And with this, we're going to go and turn this basically on to the front. No, the back's good. Back is good. There we go. Select the bone, the back bit, and adjust the green bit sort of into position, sort of like here. And let's make sure it just stays right in the middle there. You can also use the orthographic viewports if you like. So if you go back and you do this, then it'll be, there's no perspective here. So that makes lining these things up a little bit easier. Should have really told you about this. So this is pretty much the middle here. That's quite nice. If we go into the front view now, we can go and line up the other part of the bone, or you can use the numeric values if you like. I'm just going to go and eyeball it here because that might be a little bit faster. Control F on the keyboard to snap right into this. So here, and then over here, that'll be our bone. And then the only other thing that we need to check is the length of it. So let's go from the top here, move this guy over to one side, and then we're just going to go move this over to here. And that axis doesn't really matter for functionality purposes, but it's a good indication of what this bone should do, just as a visual representation. So still with our joint editor tool selected under tool settings, let's go give it that selection group again. So this is going to be the back bit, in fact. And now we need to do and set up the weight maps. We'll do that in a moment. Let's go and create the other two bones first for the flaps here. And then we're going to go and fill the weight maps in one fair swoop. Then we don't have to go back and forth on these things there. So this, I'm thinking that could be a good child bone of this bone now. So the flaps at the end here, they might be a child bone of the back bit, if that is the correct term for this. Right click, create child bone. And this is going to be, they're going to turn around starting with a Y. I don't know if it's YXZ or YZX, but Y is sort of the first and the main axis that I want to move there. So Y axis up in DAZ Studio. Let's call this one left flap. I hit create, and then we see the bone is pointing up instead of lying flat down, which is exactly what we want. So let's go and move it sort of into place here. Let's say this is the left flap. Let's look from the top and just try to hit the middle bit of this sort of screw thing here as good as we can, and then go and do the same with the other one. Let's say that is perfect. And then we'll have a look from the back. We're not exactly in the right position. I think I'm going to go and center this up here. This guy might just go here, and this guy might just begin sort of here. And that should be, you know, we're in pretty good shape here. We're in pretty good shape. Let's do the same again. So once again, we're going to go and use either go from the back bit here, or you can now go and select the left flap and then just go and right click on this and use a sibling bone. That saves us a little bit of adjustment work because that sibling bone is going to be created in the same exact spot. So let's go and double click this and call it right flap. And we're just going to go and move this over. So let's have a look from the right. I'm just going to move these two guys over to here, and to here. And I'll just have a quick look from the top and see if we're actually in the middle there. No, we're not. Excellent. So move this sort of here. No, not you, I meant you. There, that's pretty good. And those two just need to be associated with their respective face groups. So this is right flap here. While we're at it, right flap, ding, and then left flap is going to be the left flap. Okay, now what's next? Fill by bone selection group. So node weight brush editor, right click geometry, or sorry, weight editing, and then fill by bone selection groups. And that will now show us that if we were on the right weight map and on the right bone, that's the left one, that's the right one, and the back bit has all this filled in. That's just perfect. So now let's go and set up the limits on this. This is back on the joint editor tool. No, it's not, in fact, it's just on the rotation tool in this case, on the parameters tab. And let's see, we want to be on rotation, and I think this is Z rotate still. Perfect. So that sort of does this. I hope that is okay. If that is clipping in, or if you want to make adjustments on the geometry there, it should be like -90. You can go and move the bone position up or down if you find it as you rotate this and you wanted to have that rotate slightly higher, then you can just go and instead of it being exactly on the screw there, you can go and you can also go and make a correction morph, I suppose, as that happens. But you know, we'll leave that for another time. So we're going to go and have these things from 0 to -90 locked in. Let's do that here. So first of all, this is like the back bit rotate, let's call it that, and it was from -90 to 0, right? And then we can go and only do this now. Perfect. And just like before, and just so that there's no misunderstandings here, these guys hidden and locked. Hidden and locked. And I'll leave it up to you if you want to do that for translation and scale as well. I probably, for a product for distribution, I would probably do that. So that's the, whoops, that's misspelled here, isn't it? So back bit rotate. That is that. So now we have the other two guys that we need to go and set up. So the left flap, and this one is going to be now around the Y axis. So this is Y rotate. And once again, it probably goes down to -90, so 0 to -90. Let's do that. So this one's going to be left flap, and I'm going to call that one -90, 0, and that's its limit. Perfect. Now I'll go and just set these two hidden and locked. That's that one. And for the right flap, we're going to do the same thing. Whoops. Did I just make that my favorite? No, I didn't mean to do that. This one's the right flap. And this one, I'm just guessing here. I shouldn't really have done that. This is going to be 90 to 0. Okay, cool. Let's do that. So 0 and 90. There we go. So that is that.